Good evening, afternoon, whenever you happen to be listening, and welcome to the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report,
Sports in black and white.
a presentation of the Not a Network podcast network. I am your host. I am the voice of reason, allegedly. I am Harry Broadhurst. Joining me, as per usual, the HNIC of the NAP. He is Erik Watkins.
We actually got clarification on that from, damn it, I want to call him the Blue Man Group now, but I'll work on that. HNIC of the NANN.
The Not a Network network.
Yep.
But HNIC NANN doesn't have the same ring.
I know, but we have to keep things official. Otherwise, Blue Man standards and practices, wrath.
I'll workshop it. We'll come up with something better. He is the anchor man, the DSDO. He is Erik Watkins.
Feels weird having a hope and optimism this time of year.
You know what the craziest thing is? And obviously we'll talk more about this a little bit later on. You're not even the worst recorded playoff team in the postseason this year.
I know. It's like I called it, but I'm surprised that I called it. But I didn't entirely call it, but I'm even more surprised. It's a lot going on.
Do I get partial credit for 14-3, finishing 13-3 with a cancellation?
Yes, you do. You do.
I mean, I'm going to take that one because I'm just going to call that a win because we've been a second half team all season. We would have came back and beat the Bengals. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows? We might actually get the chance to prove that in a week.
Wait a minute, because you know what that calls for.
I do.
Dramatic doggo.
Dramatic doggo indeed. All right, we open the show how we always open the show in these parts. It's time for studs and duds. So before we go any further, and with an honorary mention to Lovie Smith, because seriously, the fucking balls on that dude to go for 2 knowing he's about to get shit canned anyways.
Nailed it.
We'll talk about that a little bit more in a few seconds here. My stud for the week is not actually, but it is Damar Hamlin. Welcome home,
gotta
Damar.
Put up the threes. Welcome home.
And the belief is that Damar will be in attendance at Highmark Stadium on Sunday at 1 o'clock when the Bills take on the Dolphins.
Oh, boy. As if that crowd didn't have enough motivation to get good and extra.
Oh, I have a very sneaking suspicion that game's going to turn into Patriots-Bills 2.
Good luck, Skylar Thompson.
What's the old song God called in sick today?
Mm-hmm.
Skylar Thompson might want to consider doing the same. In actuality, my stud for the week, they ain't lying. They don't back the pack.
Nailed that one too, for the record.
Yes. You are our overall season champion when it comes to NFL predictions over here.
Thank you.
Can I just say that don't come between a man and his Pokemon?
Especially in prime time.
As Jamal Williams scored not once, but twice to break the all-time... Oh, give me a ding here.
Wait a minute. Why is it...
To break the all-time single-season rushing touchdown record for the Detroit Lions with 16. Defeating the previous franchise record holder, Barry Sanders. And when you get mentioned in the same sentence as Barry Sanders, you've gone and done something.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions take down the Packers in Lambeau on Sunday Night Football 20-16 and send the Seattle Sea Chickens to San Francisco?
Because they went and Geno Smith didn't Geno Smith enough. Mutter.
Interesting side note from that game. Did you hear about the conversation that Williams and Rodgers had afterwards?
Mm-mm.
Williams asked Rodgers for his jersey.
Oh, so he was the one asking for the jersey.
Williams asked Rodgers for his jersey, and Rodgers looked at Williams and said, "Nah, I think I'm going to hold on to this one," which is, of course, cue your speculations and your rumors and innuendos, in somebody's endo.
I mean, if we go on the next episode of Point of Viewer, there's going to be talk. I'm just saying.
There will definitely be endos.
Yeah. And we get our first Ayo. Thank you very much, those watching on Twitch.
So, yeah, my stud for the week are the Detroit Football Lions, and congratulations to Dan Campbell for turning a 1-6 record into a over 500 finish at 9-8 for the Lions, even though the 48-45 loss to Seattle earlier in the season is what keeps them out of the postseason themselves.
But I'm telling you right now, the Hard Knocks magic, a great guy, Dan Campbell, keeps serving them kneecaps. And to tie a bow on this one, Aaron Rodgers might be one of the two quarterbacks you will hear strongly mentioned for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm just saying. Just saying.
You see the thing that came out today with Carr thanking the fans in Vegas for his time there? He seems to be pretty sure that his time in Vegas is at an end.
Yep, he knows it's the end of the road. Kind of a shame, but
if Carr goes, does Adams go? Because that's the only reason he came to Vegas.
Maybe. I mean, if they can convince Aaron Rodgers or if they can convince Tom Brady, it's a question mark. If they can't, then yeah, I see Adams hightailing it.
Well, look at what happened with Brandon Cooks, too. Brandon Cooks has basically said, I won't be a part of a rebuild. Trade me.
Mm-hmm.
He wants out of Houston. All right, Eric, who's your stud for the week?
Well, over the weekend, or really technically Monday, we had what could be the makings of a dynasty, despite the fact that it was one of the lowest rated national championship games ever. That's what happens when a team wins 65-7. And when you have a guy like Stetson Bennett be mentioned in the same record books and breath of that famous cigar-smoking Joe Burrow, you know you've done something right. My stud, going out on a high note, back-to-back, responsible for 6 touchdowns in that game, Stetson Bennett.
18 of 25, 304 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. And then another 2 on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
65-7. Let's put this into historical perspective for everybody, shall we?
Let's.
You might want to go ahead and hit the ding again, because this is a big one. The most lopsided bowl game ever.
Most lopsided bowl game ever. Largest third quarter differential in the playoff era and amongst all time in bowl games as well. Man, I want
to say 45-7 at half. I think it was, or 38-7 at half.
I think 38-7 at half.
And then what, 59-7 at the end of the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken?
I'll go and confirm that, but it was mighty close. I'm
just saying TCU sucked.
There is a reason that they were 200-1 to win the national championship going into this season.
Well, I had a plus, what was it, plus 350 odds on them, so I threw down $5, and even I feel like I want my money back from throwing down $5 on them.
Yeah, and it was 52-7 at the end of the third quarter.
Okay, yeah, Georgia scored twice in the fourth and then missed an extra point on the one.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was wondering, 62.5, that seems awful high for a college championship game, because usually championship games are when defenses show up. Yeah, Georgia said, you let us worry about that.
Yeah, 62.5, fam, we got y'all. We got y'all.
And it was appreciated because I did make some coin off of it, so I'm not going to lie. Pretty stoked.
Although I am curious. I saw what they were doing on the sidelines in the third quarter. I am going to be slightly offended if they were not those famous Lou Will's lemon pepper wings being enjoyed by the dogs on that sideline. I saw chicken wings. If y'all did them dirty and didn't supply those, y'all still got problems.
It's ironic. Eric's got beef over chicken. What I got beef with? That garbage-ass Miami Jets game on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that game sucked, but Al Michaels was having PTSD watching it, thinking it was Thursday.
And oh, by the way,
Ding. Saw that one coming.
I know all of y'all were on Scoregami watch after another pitchy woo-woo went awry. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. And yes, I intentionally said it like that.
I feel like we need that as one of our audio gifs. I'm always down for some bad news. Bear it up in this bitch. Continue.
11-6 has happened before. 11-6 has happened with a Florida team before. The then St. Louis Rams and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Of course it was the Buccaneers.
In the NFC playoffs in 99, the Rams prevailed 11-6 on their way to a Super Bowl.
Was that the year of the 1 yard short for the Titans?
Indeed it was. Super Bowl 34.
Don't remind me of that postseason.
Yeah. Don't remind me either.
Big same?
Big same.
Yeah. Grumble. Well, now the Titans can stay at home and watch. More on that in a few moments here. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, Eric. For a game that had very serious implications, specifically the Dolphins fighting for their playoff lives as they saw the Bills handling the Patriots and seeing the Pittsburgh take care of Cleveland, knowing that Miami had to win to get in, because if Miami would have lost, they wouldn't have because of Pittsburgh winning. Pittsburgh would have gotten a spot at 9-8.
Yep.
If that's the best that Skylar Thompson has, oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, good for their defense to shut down as expected in a way the eliteness that is Joe Flacco, but nah. Highmark is a different animal. You've got the snow, you've got the tables. Just be glad you don't have the dildos coming on the field. Good luck. Good luck.
We talked about this in our pre-show, and I had the comment about Skylar Thompson then. God called in sick today. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, boy. All right, who's your dud for the week, Eric?
Well, in the words of too often controversial commentators, analysts, and debaters in the sports world,
but
I've got a question.
That feels like gimmick infringement.
Well, I'm not putting up with the Chiron, so I'm not going full gimmick infringement, unlike someone else who would.
Yeah, really. Continue.
But I do have to ask, how about them Dallas Cowboys? Seriously, what the hell was that? Really? 26-6, knowing you had at least an outside shot at the division title and potentially the 1 seed. 26-6?
I can tell you exactly what that was. That's what happens when you pay Dak Prescott and he has nothing to prove.
I mean, again, not wrong. I did say uncomfortable amount of money for him in particular, all things considered. Kind of proved it.
My nephew is a huge Cowboys fan.
Mm-hmm.
My nephew is 14.
Mm-hmm.
He was pondering when they were going to put Cooper Rush into the game.
I mean, considering the poor performance of the legend that is Sam Howell, I'd be asking that same question.
Sam Howell, of course, continuing a tradition of mediocre USC quarterbacks to make it into the National Football League. Looking at you, Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, again, Mazda Miatas do not work on the snowy streets of Pittsburgh. We've established this.
I heard he tried to throw a pass, but Pittsburgh picked it. That's what I heard.
I can't.
I'm on a roll today.
Yes, you are.
The puns are strong with this one. Made myself choke with that one. All right, so that wraps up Studs and Duds for the week, and now we move into So That Happened. And speaking of Lovey Smith's balls,
yeah.
awkward segue is awkward.
Oh God, why? Why does my brain do these things?
I'm more having fun with breaking you on air in this episode because this is like the third time I've done it already.
Oh my God.
He's not crying, you're crying.
First of all, kudos to proving me right, as that was another island that I was on for Network Pick'ems. You won, but boy, was it a Pyrrhic, although I'm pretty sure it's still pronounced Pyrrhic victory, as that 32-31 win not only cost the Houston Texans the number 1 overall draft pick, so now they pick second thanks to Chicago.
The Bears.
The Bears.
You know what it is? Lovey was fondly reminiscing of his time as the coach of Chicago and thought it was his responsibility to get them the number 1 pick again.
I thought things like, look, you're going up against Kirk Cousins. It's 1 PM. You're welcome here. I know y'all did me dirty, but just here's one for the road.
Scroll the counter. Don't think you were slick with that. I caught that.
So because of that, the Texans, being the Houston Texans, are like, no, we've seen this scenario before. You get no further chances. So it's yet another one and done. I mean, can this organization stay enough of a dumpster fire so we as the Jags can continue to get 1-2 free wins every season, especially next year because we have a first place schedule? That'd be nice.
Yeah, you realize y'all come to Buffalo next year.
Well aware. Buffalo, and we face Kansas City. Here in Duval, but still.
No, you know what is some bullshit about this NFL schedule? For the 4th fucking year in a row, Buffalo at Kansas City.
How?
They could. We we get Vegas and Denver and Buffalo and have to go to Kansas City and Los Angeles.
Man, I mean, I get the fact. Oh, whoa. No,
So-
because that's still within the parameters because you're only making the one trip out west. That is some old bullshit.
Bold prediction time. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
If what I want to happen happens, I dare not speak it into the universe yet. But if what I want to happen happens, Bills Chiefs is your season opener.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Actually,
Under
no,
the right parameters.
It couldn't be because the champions have to open at home. So, I mean, it could technically, just not the way that I would want it to be. We were the season opening game this year, too. How you doing, Rams?
Mutter, field goal, mutter, Baker Mayfield, mutter.
As far as the Houston Texans, you know what? I'm hereby starting a petition. Henceforth on this show, they are the Houston Dumpster Fires.
I can get behind that.
Fair enough. As far as the dumpster fires being less of a dumpster fire, no, I don't see it anytime soon.
Again, a couple of wins in our division, it would be nice, especially if other things happen.
I gotta think it's Bryce Young with their pick next year.
Has to be.
It's either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I mean, kind of 1A, 1B, take your pick.
And I think if anything, given their system, it all depends on who the coach is really going to lean towards. Whoever they get their coaching hire, that's going to determine, all right, who do you want as your guy? Take your pick.
Now never mind. So my issue is the head coaching candidacy here. Who do you think they go after? Do you think they go offensive or do you think they go defensive? You know who I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after? Continuing their trend of African-American head coaches. The current Buffalo Bills defensive coordinator, Leslie Frazier.
Leslie Frazier would be a good candidate. If I read correctly, former Stanford head coach David Shaw was interviewing about that job as well. So,
was Shaw the one that left Stanford? No, Willingham was the one who left Stanford to go to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, that was Tyrone Willingham.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, do you think it's and I saw people bringing this up, so I feel we kind of have to address it here. With the Head Coaches Act here, with the advancement for minority coaching job there and the benefits that come along with hiring a minority coach, do you think that's played a part in the Houston Texans hiring process over the last 2 seasons, and will it play a part this year?
Do I think it has? Yes. Do I think it will? Yes. Because they're the dumpster fires for a reason. They have not curried a lot of favor with their fan base or within the league. So,
I mean,
go ahead.
Trading Hopkins, the whole drama with Cooks, the issue with Deshaun Watson and his reputation being shattered. Yeah, no arguments here.
So any sort of positive headlines that they can get, both within and outside of a vacuum, I think that would play very well because we honestly still don't know who is really in charge in Houston. So the sooner you get something out of that front office, the better. And I think, hey, if they can use the additional on-field capital as well as the good press, they'll go ahead and at least give it a good shot.
Shit. Oh, no, Tampa Bay gold. All right, 5-2. It looked like Vancouver was about to score, but then Tampa Bay did. Welcome to National Hockey Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report, apparently.
Or, as faithful fans would know, that's hockey talk.
I hate you sometimes.
Two can play this game, Broadhurst.
Oh! Oh, biscuit in the basket on an empty netter. Red Wings up 3-1.
All right, that pretty much, does that seal it? I think that seals it. That seals it.
A minute and 53 seconds left in the third, so Toronto's got some work to do, but it's looking good. All right, back to it here. Yeah, I think when it comes to the Houston dumpster fires, it's pretty much accepted nowadays that the wheel's moving, but the hamster's dead.
So I just got a weird flashback in an article that I wrote about hamster wheels in the wild. Continue.
All right, so your NFL show that happened is the Houston situation. My NFL show that happened is the end of days in Baltimore, and I mean that quite literally in this instance. Lamar Jackson has been ruled out for Sunday Night Football's Baltimore-Cincinnati game. And we'll talk more about this game here in a few moments when we do our full Wild Card Weekend previews. But in the process of Lamar Jackson being rolled out there, that means Tyler Huntley will get the start against Cincinnati 1 week after getting his ass whooped by Cincinnati in a 27-16 Bengals victory to seal the deal in the AFC North and the home game for the Wild Card Weekend matchup. So I know we haven't done this in a while, but I want an honest opinion here. Buy or sell? Lamar Jackson does not start for the Ravens again.
I'm honestly going to buy that. He took a big risk kind of betting on himself, not getting this big contract right away. And with these injuries, even though he has proved so valuable, as an old adage goes in football, the biggest ability is availability and durability. He has not shown that, and this is not a franchise that's willing to hand over $150, $200 million to someone who it's a roll of the dice if they're going to start more than half the season. It's going to be some work to do in the draft, but I think Lamar's going elsewhere.
So I think the problem and I wouldn't be surprised to see Derek Carr as potentially a destination for Baltimore, because I think he's somebody that would fit in very well with that offense.
Mm-hmm.
The issue that I see for Lamar is proof that there's a time and a place for running quarterbacks in the National Football League. And when you have the kind of Swiss cheese offensive line that the Baltimore Ravens do, it is neither the time nor the place to be a running quarterback. Jackson, over the course of the last couple of seasons, has arguably missed more games than he's played. And when he has played, he has been horrendously inconsistent in regards to his passing. The old adage about Jackson being a running back playing quarterback. I understand that Lamar took a gamble on himself here.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately for Jackson, when it came to that particular gamble this year, I think he came up snake eyes.
Yeah, they didn't get everything set up. In part, they did for that success as we celebrate an official Red Wings victory.
Another gold.
Ooh.
4-1, 19.8 seconds left.
I tell you, them empty netters. Ooh,
No. Goalie back in and beaten like a rented goalie. To borrow a quote from Keith Olbermann.
I'm telling you, part of me wants to feel bad, but it's Toronto, so I really don't. I'm good with this.
Hashtag fuck them. Well, you're chasing them in the Atlantic Division anyway, so.
All the better, and we play Vegas tonight, so thank you.
You're welcome. I'm actually going ahead and stepping away from the game now because I'm going to go over to the Islanders game and see if this three-legger holds up. Continue.
So with all of this, yes, they got him a little bit in terms of weapons and solidifying, putting him in position, having him commitment to his passing game and ensuring success. But I
will moderately disagree with that and the fact that they traded away his best wide receiver in the last offseason.
They did. with Hollywood Brown. I agree with that.
Hollywood going from Baltimore to Arizona.
Right. That did not help matters. And at the same time, on top of them with that goof, other than that, it was okay. You could see a little bit initially of the solid work ethic from Lamar. But lately, I don't know if it's strictly because of the injuries. I don't know if it's because of the contract, a confluence of things. Some of that work effort hasn't really been there in terms of passing anyways. So maybe a bit of regression at times. There's a lot going on that you can say about that. And it turned into a gigantic cluster against him.
What do you think would be a likely destination for Lamar?
Oh.
I have an interesting option for you.
Go on.
Houston.
It could.
And the reason I say Houston is bringing in somebody like a CJ Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going or Bryce Young for that matter. You're not going to want them to play in their rookie season, and especially not with a team that you know is probably not going to be very good overall. Jackson is somebody that, while maybe not the best role model, is somebody that a Stroud or a Bryce Young could learn under for a couple of seasons as kind of a holdover, similar to what was supposed to happen with Rodgers and Jordan Love in Green Bay.
Now, I'm going to add a bit of a caveat to that. They are the dumpster fires. Say this happens. You go into like week 7, week 8. The team is off to another horrendous start. 2-5, 1-6, what have you.
No, you don't play the rookie, and here's why. Because Jackson's there to sell tickets.
Jackson's there to sell tickets, but at the same time, not so much CJ Stroud, lack of familiarity with Ohio State, but Bryce Young, you got a lot of fans in the South, Texas A&M, SEC territory. You get those tickets the same way, and you've got those Texans fans who are going to be screaming for it. So I think that causes more problems than it solves, but that's me.
Fair enough. We'll have to see what happens there, but it's definitely going to be an interesting story to follow because, yeah, like I said, with him being rolled out for the game on Sunday, and personally, we'll talk more about this game in a second, but I'll give you my prediction right now. I think Cincinnati smacks Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. The end, I genuinely feel that the end is near, if not nigh, completely whatsoever for the Lamar Jackson era in Baltimore.
I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you on that one. I can't.
All right, so let's move over to a lighter story, shall we?
Let's.
And let's talk chicken, because it all comes back to chicken apparently on this podcast, even when it's beef.
I mean, wait, no. Damn it, I forgot that I used that one. I had a prop, but never mind. Continue.
I had a grilled chicken sandwich earlier for lunch. Close enough?
Yeah, I was close enough. I had the perfect bold BQ sauce from a particular establishment, but I forgot that I had that with some other nuggets. I said nuggets!
Nuggets! Deep throwback to longtime listeners of the show. So I apologize in advance because there is an extremely high likelihood that I am fucking this poor kid's name up. But me and Erik conferred about this before we went live, and we seem to be of consensus that it is pronounced DeErnest Colin. Some of you might not know the name, but you definitely know the face. The Popeyes kid. The Popeyes kid from the memes that were super popular on Facebook. Basically the sus Popeyes kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Said 9-year-old kid in that meme He's now a grown-ass adult, 19 years old. Yes, we're getting old, internet. It happens.
Just when you thought you would never have that deep of a reference of know your memes. As if I don't have enough gray hair as is.
Gray hair, you said something? What? Huh? Anyways, Ernest Collin is going to be a freshman offensive lineman at a D2 school in Illinois, I believe I read. I think Illinois, Indiana, somewhere in the general Midwest, I believe it was. I had it pulled up, but I closed it in order to get the computer to run a little bit better so we could record.
I am confirming Division II Lake Erie College.
So that's probably like Pennsylvania.
Painesville, Ohio.
Huh. Okay, then. Good to know.
Why the hell would you have... Why? Man, they picked a weird nickname. The Storm?
But because Lake Erie.
I
mean, the hockey team was called the Lake Erie Sea Monsters.
Yeah, and then they changed it to just the Monsters, and then they changed it to the Cleveland Monsters. So,
well, they got tired of being not associated with Cleveland.
True.
But anyways, so Ernest Collin he will be a offensive lineman for said Lake Erie D2 school starting next season. And because of the era that we live in the world of college, NIL is a thing. Mm-hmm. NIL, of course, being name, image, likeness. Well, if anybody is going to sponsor this kid, who do you think it is?
Now, see, we talked about this. The internet can do some horrendous things, but the internet can also do some great things. So someone in their wisdom spotted him. It's like, wait a minute. Why does that guy look familiar? Wait a minute. Is that really him from these memes? Yo, it is him. Hey, Popeyes, y'all need to hook him up. It became a tweet. Tweet was posted on Instagram. Word reached Popeyes. And in classic fashion, all they had to say was, let's get this bread. Ing. I got to give him credit for that one real quick.
The most important thing to come out of this story here, however, the biscuits are still too damn dry.
Look, Popeyes, I love y'all. I'm in their rewards program, so inherent bias, but all the jelly and things in the world can't really save the dryness of y'all's biscuits. I mean, you get the flavoring with the right amount of salt and everything, but I don't want to have to get a delicious, large, sweet tea to go ahead with my 6-piece tenders and my red beans and rice or mashed potatoes and gravy. Come on now.
Just remember, folks, we can't be bought.
But we can damn sure be rented.
Sponsorships at AmericanWhammy.com.
Podcasts at AmericanWhammy.com.
God damn it.
Because, remember, we have nothing to shill but shill itself.
I'm glad you corrected me there. One of these days I'll get that correct. I still feel like it should be sponsorships.
I mean, if we can talk to the man who designs those, his name is Blue for a reason. Maybe.
I'm just tossing it out there. All right, Eric. STH College Edition.
So, and I'm going to go on a mild tangent. We here at the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report,
sports in black and white, take the full screen,
normally do not do politics here, and I'm keeping it that way. However, may you love him, may you hate him, you remember the late Doug Ford. Why am I mentioning his name in context of football?
That was the Toronto mayor, yes?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I had the right person. Continue.
You did. Why am I mentioning his name in context? Well, one of my all-time favorite memories was him having to call a press conference about something that he said at a previous press conference. If you know, you know. If you don't, tweet at me and I will refresh the story on Point of Viewer. Yes, it is a Point of Viewer story. Well,
I seem to remember something about hookers.
close to it, yes. Yes.
Carry on.
Now, we know what went on with the University of Michigan this past season. Tragic, heartbreaking loss in the Fiesta Bowl. Another championship opportunity slipping through their fingers. Said coach of that Wolverines team, Jim Harbaugh, there's been a lot of noise around him. Oh, could he get this coaching job in Carolina? Could he get this coaching job in Indianapolis? Are there going to be some sort of sanctions? Is the NCAA going to suspend him? What all is going on? So naturally, University of Michigan, they put out a statement saying, we want him to stay. We know everything. We're working towards a deal. Nobody has anything to worry about. What does Jim Harbaugh do? He puts out a statement in response to the statement saying, I appreciate all of the faith and trust in everything you have in me. And while going back to him appearing and desiring, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, to continue his coaching career for the Wolverines. Yeah, something don't quite smell right, if you ask me. I don't think something is rotten in the city of Ann Arbor, but something's swirling.
Okay, so are you familiar with what's going on around the University of Michigan football program right now?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that there are multiple major NCAA rules violations being alleged against them?
Uh-huh. Well aware.
Okay, so you want to go the Doug Ford route? You want to know what route I'm going to go with here? Jim Harbaugh equals Pete Carroll. Dipping just in time. Dipping just in time to avoid NCAA programming sanctions like Carroll did at USC.
I can see it. Plus, he played for Indianapolis, led them to a miracle appearance in the AFC Championship game in '95. So coaching the Colts would not be that far of a stretch with this whole hometown kind of a situation. It fits.
I mean, it's Saturday somewhere, I suppose. Just not if you're the head coach of the Colts anymore.
I don't know what it is, but I may need some. Seriously, that's all I'm going to say.
More of the University of Michigan story to come forth, I'm sure, because this could be a big one. Because we could be looking at a multiple-year postseason ban if these allegations come true.
Yeah. Good luck with the revamping of the Big Ten and keeping your stronghold on the East there. Meanwhile, Ryan Day is sitting there like,
yeah, but somewhere James Franklin is like, now's our time.
You're not wrong. Not wrong.
It's a long cry from being the whipping boy of the SEC at Vanderbilt for Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we wrap up So That Happened. And we're we're not survivors. Sadly, we are no longer Hamlins. Well, I mean, we could be, I guess, kind of, sort of, ish. My Hamlin pick for the week is the Giants. But I don't want to give away we'll talk more about it later.
Yeah, with the regular season having come and now gone.
Stay tuned to the Are You Serious section of the show. We'll announce survivor picks there, even though I kind of already sort of did. Kind of ish. All right, let's talk divisional matchups, shall we? Or wild card weekend matchups, shall we? Although it's appropriate that I say divisional matchups because 3 of them are divisional matchups.
Funny how that works when you have 7 teams making the playoffs in each conference, and a lot of these divisions are being what they are.
Well, the NFC East actually led led football in berths too. They had 3 of the 4 make it,
and they could have had 4, but Washington. Redacted's always gonna redacted.
That do be facts, though.
You ain't lying. Oh, Detroit.
Real quick, shout out to a birthday unicorn. Happy birthday, Crystal.
Happy birthday, Crystal.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to it. Opening up the slate, 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. It is the Seattle Sea Chickens, Seahawks, at the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, so congratulations, Geno Smith.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think you're getting comeback player of the year because there's this guy in New York who went the fuck off this year.
True, but he broke Russell Wilson's single season Seahawk passing yardage record.
He did. That is true. He did. And let's be honest. If anybody would have said that they saw this coming from Geno Smith, you're a goddamn liar.
Look, I would be like, how many times did we say, where's IK and Polly where we need him?
Unfortunately for them, they run up against one of the most potent offenses in the National Football League who just got Deebo Samuel back from his ankle injury.
Uh-oh.
Whoo boy. No predictions right now, just general thoughts here. Good for Seattle to make the postseason this year. I don't think I would say most people didn't see that coming in the first year post Russell. But this is a tough task, is it not?
I mean, it is. And not just having to deal with Deebo Samuel and everything with the offense, which Brock Purdy, welcome to the National Football League, coming in like gangbusters on the scene.
He's got the daddy hat still.
So, you're looking at this. Oh, go ahead.
Brandon.
Ayuk?
No, the guy that does the videos on Instagram.
Was it Staley?
Carney. Brandon Carney.
Carney. Okay.
Brandon Carney. Beat Benchwarmer Brandon. Give him a follow, guys, to find out what the daddy hat's all about. It's really funny. It's a good look. It's a good irreverent look at the world of pro football in about a 3-minute sample. Carry on.
So you're looking at times a very suspect Seattle defense, even with a guy like Quandre Diggs, trying to stop all of these different weapons. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, come on. And credit to Geno Smith for everything he did. As I mentioned, breaking Russell Wilson's single season passing yardage record. Going into the game with a shot at finishing with over 70% completions on the season. I have said it before. I'm saying it now. I have not trusted Geno Smith in clutch moments. The lights are brighter. Again, Brock Purdy may go through the same thing, but Geno Smith's been around a lot longer. This is whole new territory for him. And yeah, break out the 501 genes because it just may be a party.
We will skip the Saturday night game for now. We will skip the Sunday early game for now. We will instead move to the Sunday afternoon game where the New York Football Giants head to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings in a rematch of Week 17 that saw Minnesota win at the gun with a 61-yard walk-off field goal by Greg Joseph. So I got to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Go on, because you know where I'm going to go with this. Continue. I'm letting everybody know.
We're getting heavy-handed. God dang it, Islanders. You suck.
Somebody would normally say, well, you got 4 seconds to go ahead and change that opinion, but
yeah, I got about 4 seconds to lose my bet is what I got right now.
Oh,
yeah. Minnesota just went up 2-1, 7.5 minutes left in the third.
Luckily, there's time, but
indeed,
it's the Islanders.
Well, it's in the barn, so here's hoping, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, the Islanders' offense is mostly mid. We'll talk about this more on our next All Sports edition and everything, but a scrappy defensive team, it's a bit of a tough ask. Especially
all right, back
2 in the third, but back to it.
Yeah, back to the speaking of Minnesota teams, kind of ironic. So my issue that I have with regards to Minnesota is this is a Minnesota team that can be tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a Minnesota team that can get blown out by Dallas and Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Say what you will about the Giants. They have been relatively consistent performers all season. Nothing spectacular, but they do what needs to be done. And Daboll has proven to be just the right man at just the right time for that coaching opportunity.
I'm going to mention this. You are dealing with an NFC team that has had a regular season tie. The last few teams in the NFC in particular who finished with ties in the regular season at any point have gone on to win their first playoff game. And as you said, Minnesota can be tremendous, but they're a team that lives on the edge, setting the NFL record for most wins by 1 score in the regular season. So for all the things that they've done, 61-yard game-winning field goals, historic comebacks, yeah.
Number of one-possession wins by the Vikings this year?
11. And they were 11-0. In the playoffs, that is not sustainable. It's not.
I would make the argument that in general that's not sustainable, just because of the fact that that is a good amount of skill. Don't get me wrong, but that is a whole lot of lady luck on your side.
I'm just saying I don't trust this. I don't, for those exact reasons.
And again, this is a Minnesota team that needed a 61-yarder at the gun to beat these Giants the first time. Now, granted, they will once again have the hometown crowd behind them, but they're going to have to rattle Daniel Jones early, because if Jones gets any kind of confidence, I would not be surprised to see the Giants put on a show in this contest.
Jones gets confidence, Saquon Barkley goes off. I mean, could we see this as something of a battle of the running backs? We saw a little bit coming up an interesting situation with Dalvin Cook. So could that mean more of Alexander Madison? How is this going to be with Justin Jefferson in the passing game? And yeah, I'm going to discuss it. This is the network, but it's not a 1 o'clock game. We've seen Kirk Cousins in the 4:30 time slot. I'm letting that speak for itself.
Scroll the counter.
As I update it.
But kill the music.
Yep. Yeah.
Sunday Night Football, I'm guessing NBC was hoping for Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? Huh? Jackasses. Instead, it is Joe Burrow versus Tyler Huntley Part 2.
Yeah. You know, they say it takes a lot for the sequel to be better than the original. It doesn't take a lot for the sequel to be worse.
Look at the new Avatar movie. Meh.
Huh. You say that, yet cracked $1 billion internationally in the box office again, and they've already got plans for focusing on the Fire Tribe for the next Avatar movie.
Okay, just because a movie makes a ton of money doesn't mean it was good. Look at the 50 Shades series.
Look here, you son of a bitch. We don't go certain places and mention certain things around these parts, okay? There's certain 4 and 5 letter. You see here, folks. You see here, that. Oh, yeah.
Moving forward, yeah, I'm not going to make it any. I said it earlier. I'm not going to make it any secret. I think the Ravens get smashed. The only hope that Baltimore has is for Huntley to stick to the ground game, stick to Gus Edwards, stick to J.K. Dobbins, and grind out as much of this clock as they can and try to keep Burrow and Chase and
Higgins. He was a full participant in practice.
And Tyler Boyd and the tight end too, Higbee.
Yep.
Not
Higbee. No, wait.
Not Higbee. No. I'm drawing a blank on the tight end. Well, Erik looks that up. The point being is they have to keep the potent Cincinnati offense on the sideline. That is the only chance that Baltimore has to win this game. And it's kind of ironic that I say that because I feel sort of the same way about the Buffalo-Miami game that we'll talk about when we pour one out for the homers momentarily.
Hayden Hurst.
The former Atlanta Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those Atlanta Falcons tight ends are popping up all over. Didn't Austin Hooper just have a huge game this past weekend too?
He did. I mean, for this game right here, again, for all the talk of these weapons, you give me any one of them versus Roquan Smith and who for Baltimore? Sorry. We've seen this movie. We've seen the ending. Saturday night's going to be all right in the Natty. Mm-hmm.
Saturday night's all right for fighting. It's also all right for a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
The marquee matchup to many on the slate this weekend is the Monday Night Football game on ESPN/ABC as the Dallas Cowboys are at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mentioned that there was a team in the postseason that had a worse record than Jacksonville. It is Tampa Bay at 8-9, becoming the 4th team to make the playoffs in the last 2 decades with a sub 500 record. Fun fact. All 3 previous sub 500 record teams won their first game.
Did they? Because I know Seattle did beat New Orleans.
Carolina won. That's when they were 7-8-1.
Yeah, and they beat Arizona.
And I'm pretty sure it wasn't a couple of years ago somebody won a division at 7-8-1 and won their first playoff game too.
That was 7-9 Washington. I think they lost to Tampa Bay. Because that's when we were introduced to Taylor Heineke.
You might be right.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're 2-1 in recent history. Mm-hmm. And that Washington team didn't have Tom Brady. Or Leonard Fournette. Or Mike Evans. Or Chris Goodwin. Okay, maybe not so much Robin, or the defensive star treatment that the Tampa Bay defense does. I'm not saying that Dallas is going to get blown out in this game. I'm just saying that if Dallas comes in overconfident, considering the record differential, Dallas being 12-5, Tampa Bay being 8-9, Dallas could find themselves on a similar situation as to what they saw week one of this particular NFL season when they lost to Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay, much the same way they did at the start of last season as well.
The one thing that really concerns me on the Bucs front, when they had their big run, they were incredibly injury-free. That is not the case. You've got a lot of main guys banged up. They brought in Julio Jones, hasn't been as expected. Yes, Mike Evans has had another good year, not a great year. Godwin, another good year, not a great year. We could see playoff Lenny, but between that and the kind of season Tom Brady has had, let's note, as the full-time starting quarterback, this is Tom Brady's first losing season and the fewest number of wins he's had as a starter. And this goes all the way back to a 9-7 record circa 2004. He is not used to this. So like I mentioned going into this week about Aaron Rodgers, how much does he have mentally left in the tank? We saw what happened. I don't know, even with the playoffs, even with Raymond James Stadium, even with the fans, I don't know if Tom Brady has enough mentally in the tank to do this. So if Dallas can get off to a good start, as you had mentioned with Baltimore, stick to the ground game themselves. You have Tony Pollard, you have Zeke Elliott, you have some potent passing weapons in CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and the like to get that comfortable. If you can put together a good script in the first quarter, early in the second quarter, you can sap the energy out of the crowd, go ahead and finally get your first playoff win in a few years. It's doable. You need to do a few things, but it's doable.
I think it's time to pour one out.
Nope.
If I would have told you when we started the season that we would be talking a Jacksonville Jaguar playoff game, what would you have said?
I would have been like, all right, on the road as a wild card, see how we do. Oh, let's just see what happens. A good, positive experience in the first year under Doug Peterson.
Instead, thanks to Josh Allen, not quarterback, fumble recovery for a scoop and score, the Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Tennessee Titans on Saturday Night Football. It doesn't have the same ring. To give the Jaguars their first division title since 2017. We don't talk about those postseasons. It's a blank space.
Look, all I'm saying is at least it's not going to be a carbon copy of the 2017 postseason.
I mean, technically it could, though. You could meet us.
Yeah, but it
next to impossible due to what would have to happen. You guys would have to beat the Chargers, and Baltimore would have to beat Cincinnati.
Yeah,
not happening. I agree.
Not to mention, we would have to go to your house. We don't do that well in the cold.
Trevor Lawrence played college football in South Carolina. I don't know that boy knows what snow looks like.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong. Granted, especially with some of those games up in Pitt and whatnot, it gets a little bit chilly, but nothing compared to Buffalo.
The Islanders fucked me. Empty net gold, 3-1 Minnesota.
Ouch.
Oh,
well. The Islanders.
Somehow this is all John's fault.
It is.
I should have picked you guys against Vegas.
I mean, look, if you're going to have faith in any sort of mid-teams, at least pick a mid-team that can actually, put the puck in the net.
Yeah, one goal ain't going to get it done against Minnesota.
Nope.
Final horn goes off. It's a final. Oh, well. It was fun while it lasted. Something told me to hit that. Something told me to hit that early cash out button. I should have done it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Let this be a lesson, folks. Don't get greedy.
I'm not to mention, seriously, sometimes this happens on the ice.
But all right, back to it here. So you guys will be hosting the Los Angeles Chargers Saturday night at 8:00 on ESPN/ABC. Realistic expectations for the game.
I'm going to be honest. My expectations were offensive juggernaut, putting on a good show, everybody living up to the hype of Lawrence versus Herbert, and at least keeping it a close game even if we don't win. But I'm seeing some things about this Mike Williams injury. And I think, yes, there's still Keenan Allen. Yes, there's still Austin Eckler. Still Justin Herbert. The way that we have been playing holistically, because again, Saturday night was ugly. It was very, very ugly, and we left a lot of points on the board. But if we can play more at our peak and use this as a wake-up call, this is a winnable game for Jacksonville.
I don't know that the Mike Williams injury is as big of a detriment to the Chargers as people are making it out to be. I would argue that with Williams' injury history, that they've become almost as reliant on not having him on the field as they are to having him on the field. And it would be the same for Keenan Allen out in Los Angeles as well. Unfortunately, the one thing that has been consistent about the Chargers is their inconsistent availability at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. And
so I think
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the bigger part of this game falls on the ability of Josh Allen and the rest of the defensive line for Jacksonville to be able to stop Austin Eckler, who has been having one of the more underrated, not talked about, good seasons in the NFL this year.
And I agree, because we're seeing it in case of a very quick offense, which is really on both sides in this case, versus a very quick defense here for the Jaguars. If we can go ahead, get Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, help solidify the run game, because another big thing that I noticed that's really going to be critical, in that Titans game in particular, we could not get off the field enough on third down. And even with the shortage of weapons, Herbert knows the plays to make in those critical third down situations. So if we find ourselves with that sort of a pattern, we're prone to giving up some very long drives. Our guys are going to get tired. That's what I'm worried about. So we're going to have to kind of match that on our own. But if we can go ahead and slow him down, get more pressure on Herbert, force a little bit of errant here and there, gives us a chance. More time on the field. Shorter fields potentially, better field position. Then with guys like Etienne, Hasty, Kirk, and the Joneses, we can put it in the bag.
Curiosity, what are you doing Saturday night?
I've really got nothing going on. I've got my flag football referee shift, but that ends at 5. So I'll be home in plenty of time for the game.
Well, I'm just saying, the last time there was a Jacksonville game on while we were broadcasting, it went pretty well for you guys.
I am open to said possibility. Not going to lie. I'm open to it.
We will discuss more off air. We'll just say stay tuned for more. Pay attention to @NotANetworkPods on Twitter. twitch.tv/not a network pods or AWP podcast. That will be sunsetted at the end of January, and it'll officially move over to twitch.tv/not a network pods, youtube.com/@ the little @ symbol, not a network pods.
Mwah! There we go. Chef's kiss of a promo, sir.
Podcast at AmericanWhammy.com.
So now, look at you. It just knocking it out of the ground. Well done.
All right, carry on.
So now, you had mentioned with your Buffalo Bills.
You know why I'm laughing. You know why I'm laughing, right? You know why I'm laughing, right?
Yes.
The two words that'll strike fear into any football fan's heart. Skylar Thompson. Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, you may not have that bye, but quasi-bye week, maybe?
It might as well be, if we're being honest. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. If this game is any closer than 20, I'm going to be pissed off. Like, don't get me wrong. Miami has a lot of weapons. Tyreek Hill is potentially injured, though. Jalen Waddle is potentially injured. Both of them were injured in the game against the Jets. Both of them missed significant time in the second half. Unsure as to their availabilities. Have not seen the most recent updates on the injury report. Do need to check that out. The point being is that both of their star wide receivers are coming in less than 100% against a Buffalo defense that has been absolutely folding people this year. Ask Mike White what happens when you play the Buffalo Bills defense. It does not end well. Mike White meet Matt Milano. Speaking of which, Milano actually had the game-clinching interception in the game against New England.
I swear it all just comes full circle in a weird way.
You add in the emotion of the Damar Hamlin situation, and let's be honest, it's hashtag do it for Damar up in Buffalo right now. Speaking of which, kudos to the Bills organization and the NFL as well. The young man is getting paid, and good for them.
They finally, for as much as they did wrong that particular night, of all the things to do right, I applaud them for this.
The NFL has stated that the Bills can pay Damar his full salary that he would have earned, and it will not count against the Bills' cap number.
Kudos.
Oh, did I mention the man that Damar was in action for just got cleared off of IR and will be back on Sunday as well? Micah Hyde? Yeah, he's back.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not facing y'all this week. Yeah, Miami, you go right ahead. You have fun with that one. You enjoy.
Hold on. I have a very special guest. It appears that Keegan-Michael Key is in my ear. And he has asked me to tell Miami that they done fucked up Aaron. Do we not have that GIF? That's a GIF we need.
You know what? I'm going to...
I'll let the executive producer executively produce. But yeah, like I said, if this game is any closer than like 15 or 20 points, I will be stunned. And I don't take anything away from Miami when I say that there. The backfield, the San Francisco export backfield of Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson has been remarkably consistent this year for Miami, giving the Dolphins a running game that they haven't had in a while. Tyreek Hill had a monster first half of the season before falling slightly off of the pace in the second half of the season. Jalen Waddle was coming into his own as a star NFL wide receiver, and having Hill next to him will do nothing but raise Waddle's stock. Mike Gesicki finally showed up against the Jets, which was nice because God knows that motherfucker ain't done shit all season. I would know. I had him on my fantasy team. The Dolphins are a good team. Unfortunately, they are a good team in the wrong place at the wrong time. Do it for DeMar. Mr. Watkins,
Mm-hmm.
it's this time of the show that I ask a very simple question. Expanded postseason edition. Are you serious? The Interrobang makes its weekly appearance.
You gotta have love for the Interrobang.
And so I mentioned the expanded postseason edition. Yes, folks, it means exactly what you think it means. From here on out, Mr. Watkins and I will predict every single game against the spread. This could go horrendously.
I mean,
or it could be fun.
Now it's time to see where I can put my ear to the test, because straight up, it hasn't been too bad. But again, against the spread, I've been pleasantly average.
I've been under average for me, but still better than you.
This is true. Well, I mean, if you see my record against the spread, 30, 53, and 2, yeah, that's not saying much.
But honestly, 30 wins in a year for you against the spread is not bad.
No, it's not. That's why, in a lot of cases, I still impress myself. I'm taking baby steps.
Did I hit 40 or did I end up at 39?
You are... Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, 37 and 48 straight up. 37, 47, and 1 against the spread.
Wow, I basically hit that square in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You're too kind. Thank you. Sub 500 this year against the spread for me is not surprising. Sub 500 straight up for me is a little surprising, but I took a few more gambles this year than I've done in previous seasons as well, just because of the rule changes with the 3s and the 7s. Plus, let's be honest, a lot of unknowns in college and the NFL as we start to get back to something resembling a more traditional NFL season. All right, Mr. Watkins, you got the numbers pulled up in front of you?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
We start Saturday, 4:30 p.m. on CBS, I think.
Oh, you know the theme.
The NFL on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the button. I feel like I have to dig out my Cletus for this. If we advance in the playoffs, I will find Buffalo Bills Cletus.
Done.
All right.
Okay.
As the Seattle Seahawks are at the San Francisco 49ers, the Niners are obviously favored in this game. How big of a number is it?
The number is 10.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Too many. Give me Seattle against the spread, but San Fran straight up. And the reason I say that is divisional games are always a toss-up. Can we actually mark that? Can we mark that I'm taking San Fran straight up, but Seattle against the spread?
Yeah, if you give me a second, so...
All we'll have to do is put San Fran / Seattle. Put SF/SEA. So that way it's San Fran straight up, but Seattle ATS.
I'm going to be honest with you. I like this Niners defense.
They've definitely had their moments this year. I mean, they beat the crap out of Arizona to close the season, too.
The fact that even with J.J. Watt on his way out,
respect.
May you have a long, happy, healthy retirement with your lovely wife and baby girl. Convince Fox to bring back an ultimate tag with your brothers. I'm just saying.
It was okay.
With Nick Bosa and the like, and with Deebo Samuel coming back, again, we have not seen Geno Smith in the playoffs.
That's fair.
For good reason. I got to lay the points on this one. I'm sure that there's going to be some sharp action to bring this down from 10, maybe a little bit, but even it's staying with 10, I'm laying the 10, taking the Niners. They cover.
The 8 p.m. Saturday game on ESPN/ABC.
Actually, this one is on NBC.
God dang it! So they got back-to-back Saturday and Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Man, they really need to fix this schedule because it bounces every single freaking season. Okay, fine.
I'm telling you, network deals and rotations, because depends on whoever gets the Super Bowl at the end of the year.
So does that mean the Buffalo-Miami game is on Nickelodeon as well?
Most likely, since it's the CBS game.
Ugh. Anyways, the NBC Saturday Night Football. Okay, then. So do you think both games get Tirico and Collinsworth, or does one get Tirico and Collinsworth and one gets, I don't know. Who's the Notre Dame announcers? Well, they just lost Notre Dame football, so that doesn't help.
I was going to say, I think they squeeze it in so that way they get both, because it's not that far of a flight from Jacksonville to Cincinnati.
And I'd imagine they probably fly private.
Mm-hmm.
If NBC wants them to work both games.
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, though, Tony Dungy has done play-by-play or color commentary before as well. So maybe like a Chris Sims, Tony Dungy on one of them, and then Tirico and Collinsworth on the other.
Now, if that happens, it would be Sims and Dungy getting the Saturday night gig.
I would think so, yeah.
Your A team, Tirico and Collinsworth, get the traditional Sunday night slot.
It is the Los Angeles Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Chargers are a road favorite.
-1.5.
I want to congratulate you on a fantastic season, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had this conversation off air as well. You already know where I'm going with this. I will apologize in advance.
It's okay.
I think the run ends here. I think the Chargers win, and I think they cover. I believe that this is the first of many eventual battles we'll see between Herbert and Lawrence in marquee matchups in the National Football League. And this is a Jacksonville franchise who has made tremendous strides in its first year under Doug Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the Chargers have a little bit too many weapons on offense and too many playmakers on defense for you guys. I will take the Chargers, and I will take them -1.5.
You know how our sayings go. Go big or go homer. I've already said, and I've made my opinion known to the public because I was out and about today, tutoring, getting groceries. This is a hype I am just seeing all around. There's not been this kind of hype in 5 years. We saw the raucous crowd and the atmosphere, the most epic Duval opening, guy wearing shades, rocking out the Star Spangled Banner on the guitar. And that was a Saturday night in the regular season. You give this town, with what Georgia did in the national championship, what the Jaguars did on another Saturday night in the playoffs, and with Doug Peterson's pedigree. Now, again, sometimes he's had a little bit of luck. I'm looking at you, Mr. Double Doink, Cody Parkey. I think that Peterson with this team has just enough. And Trevor Lawrence in particular would mention, I've got that chip on my shoulder. Just this once to really cement our standing and with everything else going around in the city, the Jaguars pull off a shock. Duval! Straight up, +1.5. One last hurrah before the bank closes for the season.
Incredibly unlikely that you guys would see another home game because it would require either Miami or Baltimore to win.
Mm-hmm. That ain't happening.
We've already talked about both of those matches before. The question isn't if they're going to win. The question is, are they going to cover? And we'll get to those matches. Actually, the first of those two matchups is next. CBS at 1 o'clock on Sunday. It is the Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. When this match was announced, the number was 10.5. I know for a fact it's not 10.5 anymore. If I am not mistaken, it is up to 13.
13.5.
Oh, they put the hook on it.
Mm-hmm. You got the hook.
Mr. Watkins, you're up first on this one.
I mean, really? Skylar Thompson, really? Imagine this. 12:55 p.m. Eastern. Shots of Highmark Stadium. A crowd swelled with red, white, and blue, all in Buffalo colors. It's a bit of a cloudy day. No hint of snow just yet, 28 degrees. But a hearty fan base looking on. You get the roars. You see the Jumbotron. The CBS cameras have a shot in the owner's box. The lovely Pagulas, owners of this venerable franchise. But as you said yourself, there's a special guest. All around, you see the number 3, the patches, the field, in the stands. The man who donned that number, standing up, adding a little bit of hype to the crowd. He knows he's there. He knows the moment. You don't think everyone sees that? The Bills see that as they run onto the field and preparing for victory? This is one of those games where it's lay or stay away. I dare not stay away from this one. Hashtag do it for DeMar. Hashtag love for 3. Hashtag Bills by a billion. They win. They cover. On to next week.
So technically speaking, this number would not have been covered last week when we played New England. But in fairness, one could argue that the Bills took their foot off the gas in the second half against New England last week.
Mm-hmm.
Once the game was pretty much in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I believe at one point Buffalo was up 35-10, 35-13 before New England scored twice, if I'm not mistaken. I do know the final score was 35-23. Wait, no, it was 28 to...
Because it's looking like here it was 28-17 at the end of the third.
Yeah, and then New England scored and went for 2 and missed it, and then Buffalo scored again. The Allen to Diggs pass in the fourth quarter, 51 yards.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of emotion in that stadium last week, but one could argue that it wasn't entirely positive emotion. And the reason I say that is because we weren't sure what was going to happen. DeMar was still in Cincinnati. The Mafia was still concerned.
Mm-hmm.
DeMar Hamlin is home with his family now.
Mm-hmm.
DeMar Hamlin is back in Buffalo. And as mentioned, DeMar Hamlin will probably be at the game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't think that that's not going to light a fire up under the asses of every single member of that defense, and specifically the returning number 23, Micah Hyde, the man whose spot DeMar Hamlin was in that fateful night in Cincinnati. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White. The Bills' secondary is back to its week 1 starters now. And look what those starters did to the Rams in week 1. And that was with Matthew Stafford as the quarterback. The same Matthew Stafford that had just won a Super Bowl MVP, by the way. You're Skylar fucking Thompson. Really? Bills by $1 billion. Your afternoon game on Sunday on Fox is the aforementioned Giants at Vikings. I know Minnesota is favored in this game. I do not know what the number is.
Fittingly enough.
That's funny. It's at home worth 3.5.
Thereabouts, yeah. Especially in the playoffs.
Which tells you all you need to know about what Vegas makes of this Vikings team. Mr. Watkins, I will let you go first once again since I went first on the first two.
Look, you've seen me play the clip before. Kirk Cousins and the glasses, no shirt, with the chains, dancing on the airplane with his team, everything else. You had a lot of luck in Minnesota. You're a big-time deal, don't you know? Yeah, postseason's even bigger time deal. Yeah, I don't see a lot of rings on the finger up in there. I think that's for a reason. I get it. I get with the Giants. Ahead of schedule. Big year Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, figuring out a contract, everything else. You know, Brian Dable. A lot of that, they mishmash and come together. I have seen this Vikings team too many times. I have seen Kirk Cousins too many times. I have seen this Vikings team with Kirk Cousins too many times. As a certain someone on this network would say, fuck Kirk Cousins. Give me the G-Men with the upset all day.
So when we did the kickoff, you have your Jaguars advancing, my Bills advancing, and Jason's Giants advancing. Fun fact, I too have Jason's Giants advancing. I've seen this story too many times in Minnesota. And that is when the pressure gets tough in the postseason, the Vikings fall apart. Look at the record-setting offense back in the late 90s. The team that went 15-1 and then lost in the NFC Championship game.
To the Falcons. Home. Yeah. Gary Anderson, his first missed kick the entire season.
Look at Minnesota needing the Minnesota Miracle to beat the Saints. Only to get smacked the following week by San Francisco.
Need we say the brief tenure of Brett Favre as a Minnesota Viking and how that ended?
Cousins has had a hell of a season. But for every marquee win that was there, some of them undeserved as they may have been, there was a game getting blown out 40-3 by the Dallas Cowboys. There was a game getting smacked around by the non-playoff team, the Detroit Lions. There's a game getting smacked around by the under 500 Green Bay Packers. You beat the Giants the last time you played them. It took a near NFL record kick to do it. And this is a Giants team that now has tape to study on you of what they did wrong and what they need to do to fix it. I'm not sitting here and saying I trust Daniel Jones as a starting quarterback, because I don't.
Mm-mm.
But I trust primetime Kirk Cousins less. Giants win. Straight up. Are we even going to waste our time with the Cincinnati-Baltimore game? We've both already talked about it.
Yeah, nah. And even with the line 9.5,
Or Bengals
that
win and
changes
cover.
that changes nothing for me.
Bengals win and cover. Like I said earlier, the Ravens are going to get smacked by Cincinnati here. Because the last game, the one this past Sunday, was 27-16, and it wasn't that close.
No. And the fact that you saw the Bengals mentality with the coin flip touchdown celebration, they knew then, they know even more so now.
Although that being said, it will be interesting to see what happens with No, Kansas City had to lose for the Cincinnati game to go to a neutral site. They would have to go to Arrowhead if they get past Buffalo next week.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that sends us to the big one, or at least the NFL would like you to think the big one. Monday Night Football on ESPN/ABC. It is nice to have Monday Night Football back on ABC. I won't lie.
Yeah, it's rightful home, ESPN. Take note of this if certain business decisions happen. Just saying.
Well, all I'm going to say to that is, what would you rather watch on Monday nights? Football or The Bachelor?
Look, Mel Kiper Jr. himself even has a Bachelor big board. That tells you everything you need to know. Look, again, I give him credit for, raising the ladies in the rankings who have tattoos. But again, that's a story for another day.
Mel Kiper's doing too much. Give me Todd McShay. Anyways. All right. So what's the number? I'm assuming Tampa Bay is favored since it's at home. Negative squirrel?
Negative squirrel. Dallas -2.5.
Wow, that's a whole lot of faith in Dak Prescott that I don't have. Yeah. Okay, so there are two things that have been proven. Right?
Mm-hmm.
2 and 2. It's Chuck Woolery over here. And or Richard Nixon.
I am not a crook. Sorry.
Now I'm having Futurama flashbacks. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
He's actually a playable character in my Simpsons game too, which is kind of funny.
Why am I not surprised?
And one of his tasks is to shred documents. Simpsons don't give a fuck. Anyway, there are two things that are consistent when it comes to the postseason, Mr. Watkins. One, the Dallas Cowboys do not perform well.
True.
Two, Tom Brady does.
True.
I'm not going to sit here and say that this is the beginning of a Tampa Bay dynasty. Because honestly, given my predictions here, Tampa Bay would have to go to San Francisco next week. And, well, about that.
Play where you want it to be in one of your childhood teams and everything. Oh, that's going to be hilarious.
But if you're asking me, in a game with the season on the line, do I trust Dak Prescott or do I trust Tom Brady? As much as it physically pains me to say this, my money will be on Brady every single time in that matchup. I will take Tampa Bay straight up, plus the 2.5 or whatever it is.
My first NFL game in person was Tom Brady. Many, many moons ago, against Chad Henne back when he was the Jaguars starter. I saw the Brady Magic in person. I saw that game-winning touchdown drive and all of that mojo in person in a 23-16 game. So I've borne witness. I knew the minute he signed with Tampa Bay, he was going to get another ring. Eventually it happened. Everything just aligned. I've seen Tom Brady this season, knowing his own ego, knowing all of the noise, knowing everything for him, struggle in the NFC mid against the Atlanta Falcons before he got pulled. With what happened in his marriage, with what's happening in his other business acumen with FTX, what's happening all around him. Father Time may still not get to him yet, but something else is. That obsession, the never having a beer, the avocado ice cream, all of that, that is gone. What you're seeing is a 45-year-old man who can still prove greatness, but he is not locked in. I saw that same thing with Aaron Rodgers just a few nights ago. And how did that go against Detroit? This is going to be a slog. I would lean really towards the under on this one, which is the total's 45.5. I don't see him being victorious. Sure, he can still play. Go on and see about breaking George Blanda's record as the oldest player in NFL history on George Blanda's last team in the Raiders. But this time in Tampa Bay looks like it's done, and it is not going to end on a high note. Knowing everything with Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott and everybody else, and his own clock ticking and everything happening, he needs a little something to kind of throw in Goodell's face and to kind of scrub away the images of a certain photo that surfaced. Give me the Cowboys in this one. I was originally thinking Tampa Bay to cover, but I don't think so. I think they cover. They may squeak by with the game-winning field goal and do just enough. Dallas marches on.
So we have two games that we differ on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, three technically, because I have San Fran straight up, but Seattle against the spread.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. If you look at our predictions here, that would make our divisional rounds as such. My AFC goes chalk. It would be chalk-ish. I have the Chargers over Jacksonville, but that's 4-5, so that really doesn't affect much. So that would give me the Chargers at the Chiefs, and then the Bengals at the Bills, which would be the remake of the game that we lost, although this time with a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
As instead of being at Paycor,
Paycor Stadium,
it goes to Ralph Wilson Field at Highmark Stadium up in Buffalo instead. And then my NFC side of the ledger in the divisional round would be the Giants at Philadelphia, Tampa Bay at San Francisco.
I've got some classic matchups for mine on the NFC side. On the AFC, not too much different. Jaguars going up against the Chiefs. Oh boy, good luck with that one. And Bengals making the trip east of Buffalo. On the NFC side, however, I too have Philadelphia in the Giants, but I've got a long-standing NFC powerhouse of a matchup, Cowboys at the Niners.
I'll tell you right now, if that happens, that's your Sunday 4:30 game.
Easily.
That's your marquee matchup for next week, and that's the Sunday 4:30. Although they might actually do Sunday primetime.
With the divisional round, no. It's your
Saturday 4:30, 8, and then 1 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know if NBC would try to sneak in another Sunday Night Football broadcast. Who has the game? Who has the game this year? CBS?
I'm gonna double check. I think it is CBS's turn. No, it's Fox's turn this year with the Super Bowl.
All right, so that would be Greg Olson and his new call, Kevin Burkhardt.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see what happens there. That's our predictions for Wild Card Weekend. Studs and duds obviously continue next week. We give you the best and the worst of Wild Card Weekend. So that happened, depending on the amount of news stories, may or may not stay. We'll have to see what happens. College obviously is going to have a lot of breaking news this time of the year too, so that could end up sticking around. My survivor pick is the Giants over Minnesota.
Go big or go homer. Come on, Duval. Show out one more time.
And then we'll have to see what happens going forward with the rest of our formatting. Hopefully the all sports episodes will begin to make their way back in as well. But for now, we stay football focused here on the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report.
Sports in black and white.
He is at Squid Sportshead. I am at HEB the Eagle. The network itself is twitter.com/notanetworkpods, twitch.tv/notanetworkpods, or AWP Podcasts. Again, that's getting sunsetted at the end of this month, so make your way on over to the Not a Network Pods page. youtube.com/@notanetworkpods. For the DSDO, I'm the voice of reason, allegedly. Thanking you for listening to this week's episode of the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report.
Sports in black and white.
We'll see you in 7 for the divisional round. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report. Sports in black and white. A presentation of the Not a Network Podcast Network. Available online via most major streaming services.